Hello, so this is Thomas Sheltra. I'm doing my Module 8, Unit 5, Activity 3. So this is going to be my reflection video for my third student data evaluation. This is after I did my video lesson on the First Amendment and students' rights in schools. Excuse me. And so what I did was I gave the students a video project to do, and so we had two groups, and unfortunately I will put the link in this video, but on Wednesday, February 8th, our school, along with several other schools in the state of Vermont, were subject to lockdowns because of a school shooting. Thankfully, what ended up being a hoax. There were several threats made to different schools. And so, unfortunately, many of the students couldn't finish, in the second group, couldn't finish the video that they were working on. They had a couple student interviews, and I asked them to just give me something that was edited down to about a minute. And so I think the second video, while it was incomplete in nature, I think that the students were on a very good track, and I like the way that second interview with a student went. And I think that it could go into a little deeper issue about the differences in dress code policies with the different genders, because that student was talking about how female students are held to a different standard than male students. So I think if that group kind of digs in a little deeper, I think that video could become a really great PSA on sort of the battle of genders as far as what is and is not allowed or viewed as appropriate for student attire inside of a school. The first group I thought did a really great job with doing the differences between the two students. They got our director of the school giving her opinion, which I thought was really great. So I think more than anything, I'm really proud of the students for their hard work and collaboration in the class that we did. I was really happy that they were able to, under the tight timeline, because I just told them that I wanted to put these videos in at the end of my lesson video, so that way I could let other cohort members view sort of what my students, or excuse me, I shouldn't say my students, but what our students at our school are capable of doing. And I think that, you know, coming from different backgrounds, low socioeconomic status, you know, and being from a very rural state, they do a really great job. And I think that it showcases, you know, the different levels in which we gauge intelligence, or what we view as intelligence, in vocational and technical career centers compared to traditional learning environments. And that, you know, a lot of my students really dislike academics as far as humanities, history, and math. But I think that when you give these students a challenge and you do something where they can see the value, they become very creative, energized, and active. And I love seeing that out of my students. So as far as what I see in the third set of data is the fact that, you know, I noticed that the vocabulary is starting to improve student by student. Unfortunately, there's one student where I gave a 0 across the board. That's because he was out sick with COVID. So I didn't know how to do that in the data assessment. So everything, I just left 100 for him because he wasn't here to complete anything. So yeah, we were in lockdown. Vocab is slowly improving, and the hard work, collaboration, and creativity of the students was really awesome. And I think that just the general topic of the video was able to elicit the type of engagement and active learning for my students. And of course, one of the things that I'm kind of drawing back on from last Sunday with my mentor meeting was the fact that, you know, teaching students where they are rather than where you automatically want them to be is very important. And so anytime I can create a lesson that, you know, the students took away the most of it from the bong hits, bong rips for Jesus. I mean, that was the hook that got them, and I was able to reel them in. And for the entire lesson, they were engaged, they were active, they loved having the guest speaker come in, and I think that was reflected in the data. Even when we were doing the think, pair, share, and I know that I'm kind of going between different activities here, but I think it shows in the data is that there was one female student that caught on the microphone while they were working in the groups, and she used symbolic speech in the sentence. So I was like really pumped about that, because it shows that, you give them 3 branches: First Amendment, freedom of expression. Okay. But then okay, let's talk about this case where, the hook is the, drugs. So I'm sorry, I really don't know how to talk about this in a video, but I mean, the lesson is what it is. It's a Supreme Court case, but it hooked them in, it got them engaged. And so I'm really happy and positive to see where that's going to transition into next week's, or not next week's, but the next video, where we talk about the First Amendment, but then we do some gamification with some the iCivics. Do I have a right? And I think so, again, it's going to be heavy on the vocabulary, heavy on the content. So students are going to have to apply what they've learned in class into the game, and then they're going to have to collect vocabulary words and things like that. So I think next lesson is where I'm going to start seeing some of that vocabulary improve, because it's going to be like a scavenger hunt kind of thing. And so I think giving them the word box, letting students choose, so giving them choices on which vocabularies they want to do, giving extension exercises to the higher level learners. So instead of just choosing the vocabulary words, they have to write them out in sentences. So that way you're giving, students are using the same words, but they're utilizing their vocabulary banks in different ways. So I'm really excited to see where that next lesson goes. And I think that slowly the engagement is picking up, the active learning is picking up. There's still a few students who kind of give that sort of F it attitude that I'd like to see improve. And then the other thing is with my student who I'm doing the case study with, this past lesson, he did a really great job. I brought in some of the fidget toys, and he stayed focused for the entire class. So I'm really pumped about where this unit is going, and I think that I'm kind of riding a little bit of a high on the third video, which I think compared to the last 2 was really great. And I think that that enthusiasm I have is reciprocal with the enthusiasm that the students have, based on how well they work together to plan those videos. Unfortunately, like I said, because of yesterday, and I'll put a link into what I'm talking about with the school shooting warnings and the lockdowns that we had to go under. But I'm excited to see where this next lesson is going to go. And so thank you.